It's the annual Kansas African American Museum Tribute to Trailblazer Showcase. Since 2000, the Kansas African American Museum has celebrated and honored Kansans who lead, innovate, and pioneer. This evening's showcase celebrates the richness of the African American experience and its indelible influence on American culture, tradition, and language that continue to define our country today. Tonight, we honor Carla Eccles of KMUW, Janetta Everett of Delta Dental, Sam Ford, Bureau Chief of WJLA-TV in Washington, D.C., Dr. Charla Smith of KU School of Medicine, and the incomparable Hattie McDaniel. Ladies and gentlemen, your MC for the evening, Felicia Rolfe.
I'm Felicia Rolfe, your MC for the evening, and tonight we celebrate and showcase some of the most talented professionals in the nation. For more than 2 decades, the Kansas African American Museum has honored pioneers who helped shape the American experience. This year's theme, Challenge, Sacrifice, Triumph, and Still We Rise truly speaks to the fortitude and resilience of our honorees and of our culture. Tonight, we're joining you from the Kansas African American Museum, located right here in Wichita, Kansas. The museum is home to African American legends such as Lynette Woodard, Barry Sanders, Dockham Drugstore sit-in participants, Kevin Wilmot, and Gordon Parks, just to name a few. And we continue our long-standing tradition of showcasing Kansans who have made a great contribution to American society and have left legacies of success. This evening's honors will highlight trailblazers in arts and culture, business, broadcast journalism and TV and radio, and public health. Please help us open up this year's celebration by listening to this inspirational song.
Somebody who looked like me.
He was minding his own, said he wasn't doing nothing wrong. Had no intentions of never again returning home. Somebody throw your fist up.
And I fall lifting up.
Somebody, anybody stand up.
To hesitate to call me when you need a hand. For me, I'll be there when you need a friend. We can change the world we live in and make better what we've been given. Some way and somehow.
It's time that we take it down. Start it right here, right now.
Wow, thank you. That was an amazingly powerful and soul-stirring song, and passionately reminds us that the work of the Kansas African American Museum is as important as it has ever been. As leaders, we have an opportunity to impact culture and to help create a more inclusive and equitable society. There is no better way forward than to do this work together, collaboratively. I hope you feel energized and inspired. Well, we now invite Denise Sherman, the Executive Director of the Kansas African American Museum, to share a few words about the history of the museum.
Greetings. Over the past 2 years, I've had the distinct pleasure to serve as the Executive Director of the Kansas African American Museum. It has been a wonderful opportunity to celebrate and learn more about the richness of the African American experience and its indelible influence on the American culture, tradition, and language that continues to define our country today. Over the course of the program, you will learn more about the challenges, sacrifices, and triumphs of our Kansas African American Museum.
We would like to thank Cox Business, our presenting sponsor for the evening.
Congratulations to the 2020 Trailblazers Hall of Fame inductees. Your work and contributions in our community are extraordinary. And as a 2018 honoree myself, I want to say we are proud of your accomplishments, and I know we'll be seeing a lot more great things from you in the future.
Sacrifice, a word and a way of life that many African Americans have come to know. And it was no different for the early African American settlers that were seeking a new start in the state of Kansas. Several families made it a reality by establishing a vibrant community in the core of Wichita, which was referred to as the Black Belt. In 1913, a courageous congregation came together and sacrificed their gifts, talents, and treasury, raising $75,000, which is over $1.9 million by today's standards, and built the Second Baptist Church. Serving as a beacon of light for the community, it was renamed Calvary Baptist Church in 1917.
Denise, thank you. Well, just as Calvary Baptist Church became a beacon of light, our honorees inspire us to find strength to overcome, press our way through, and succeed. So tonight, we celebrate our ability to find ways to band together and unite for a better future. Then to join us as we celebrate our 2020 honorees. We now invite Board President Ebony Clemens Ajibolade to introduce this year's Doris Kerr Larkin Rising Star Award.
Thank you, Felicia. I am Ebony Clemens Ajibolade, and last year I was honored to be the first recipient of the Doris Kerr Larkins Rising Star Award for Exceptional Community Service. This distinguished recognition highlights the achievements of a young adult who lives a life of service and who rises up to take on a challenge that is important to our community. Thus, I am thrilled beyond measure to present this year's honoree. But before I do, let's take a moment to learn a little bit more about Doris Kerr Larkins.
Doris J. Kerr Larkins moved to Wichita as a child. She graduated from Wichita State University with a bachelor's degree in musical education. Larkins community organizations throughout Wichita, such as the YWCA, and volunteers in services to America in the 1960s. She was a faithful, dedicated member of the Calvary Baptist Church. When Calvary Baptist moved to a new building in 1972, Larkins, along with her sisters and the community, successfully campaigned to save from demolition its original building at 601 North Water Street. In 1974, she co-founded the First National Black Historical Society of Kansas, and in 1993, the society became a nonprofit organization and placed the original Calvary Baptist Church building on the National Registrar of Historic Places. The Doris Kerr Larkins Rising Star Award is one of the many ways we pay tribute to her impact on African American history and culture in Kansas.
One of the things I love about Charla and why her work sustains is because it's not about that. And that's what makes her a star, you know? That's what makes her just shine so bright. She is so humble, and she would do this work if no one ever knew. And I appreciate that. While the work she does is noble, it's not easy. She works in communities where she's often an outsider. She goes into spaces where she's often an other, pushing a narrative and an initiative that is not always pleasing to hear, pushing change and transformation. And I always champion her persistence.
You know, she's busy. This is not easy work. She's raising a son, and then of course she's administering, 2 to 3 grants at any given time that she's responsible for. It takes a toll on a person. And despite that, she just comes up with these gems sometime that sort of, I think, both around the team, but also surprise us. But the thing I think paper doesn't tell you, and all of these grants don't tell you, is that she's been doing community work for so long, that she has this whole network of friends and alliances and co-conspirators in Wichita, and she'll soon, make them in Kansas City as she moves here and transitions here, that really just sort of build her up and that she helps build up.
So I'm from a small town called Cotton Plant. I grew up there as a child. It has a population of about 900 individuals, very small town. I went off to college, and my dream was to be an OBGYN, was to be a doctor, to really focus on moms. So I became a biology major with a minor in chemistry and really worked myself through biology. Coming from a small town, I didn't have a great educational background in a lot of things as it related to biology. And so I took biology in the day and night, and I took chemistry day and night because we didn't really have labs in my town where we could go to lab and explore different things. And so that was my first introduction to lab in college. I finished there in 2000, and I went on to obtain a master's of public health. After I decided I wasn't going to be a physician, I knew that I needed to do something that really impacted the world. I spent about 75% of my time doing research, particularly Black maternal and infant morbidity and mortality research, where I look at infant mortality and how that affects the family, as well as maternal mortality, particularly around pregnancy-related hypertension. Black women are about 3 times more likely to die at birth now compared to white women, which is worse than it was in 1950. So right now in my research, this is our 4th year having our event called Celebrate Day 366, and the idea behind that event is to infant mortality and what it means to their community. But what's most exciting about that event is the idea that we will celebrate more and more Black babies living past that 365-day mark.
A celebration of all of our children yet to be born, in the process of being born, and a celebration of those who we may have lost. Also a celebration of those who made it to 1 year old. Because in the African American community nationally, that's the goal.
And it's really to see the sort of extent of her community embeddedness. I'm supposed to be her mentor, but Charla spends a lot of time mentoring me and others.
My mentors have inspired me because oftentimes they see greatness in me even when I don't see it in myself. They keep me thinking about what's next for me because sometimes I'm stuck in the moment. I'm a worker bee, so I have, 2 research projects that I'm running, sometimes 3. I have a home to take care of, a son that depends on me, so I'm just, have a list of things to do each day, and I'm just going through my list. They talk about me inspiring them, but they're really the driving factors that are pushing me forward.
At KU Medicine, right, that is an institution, it's not very close to the ground, right? It's not very close to everyday people in the community. She does a wonderful job of bringing herself to these spaces and not her institution, and listening, and then going back into her spaces and being a reliable narrator of what was discussed. That is so important in community level work, trust building. It must be there. That's why the work is so difficult and persistence is necessary. She's created space and connected it to funding, which is important to really deal with what we're seeing going on in this community. And I think that's number one, because it did not exist heretofore.
I can't think of anybody better than Charla to win the Doris Kerr Larkin Rising Star Award. She started a museum dedicated to the Black community. That Charla is trailblazing in a similar way, that she's going to have this impact in the state of Kansas, perhaps in the country, around really looking out for the needs of Black moms and Black babies. And I can't think of a more fitting award for someone who's going to sort of blaze the same kind of trail that the namesake for this award did.
This award means so much to me because there are so many deserving people for this award, but there's also so many individuals in history that have kind of paved the way for me to be here. The award means that, to me, that you are a part of culture. You are a product of African American history, and it also means that now there is an opportunity for someone to honor someone in public health, because public health doesn't get these type of platforms. But now to have this platform means so much to me because it comes from the Kansas African American Museum. It comes from the place that is the premier place for Kansas African American history, right? And being a product of that history lets me know that I can then move forward, that there's great things in my future. But it also lets me know that there is an opportunity for me to make a difference, right? Just like all those individuals in history did. And so I'm excited about it. I'm honored to be a part of it, and I hope that I make them proud.
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is my honor to present Dr. Charla Smith as the 2020 Doris Kerr Larkin's Rising Star recipient.
I am grateful to accept this award as the Rising Star from the Kansas African American Museum. I'm so grateful for the opportunity in Kansas. I thank God, my mom, my son, my family, my friends, and the University of Kansas for allowing me the platform to do this work in the community. I thank my friend Ebony for always pushing me to be the best me. I am so grateful that I got the opportunity to do this work in Wichita and to meet the great people of Wichita. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to stand before you and be honored, as public health is not often recognized on this type of platform. Thank you. Thank you.
We would like to thank Delta Dental of Kansas as one of our heritage sponsors for the evening.
Oh my God. Congratulations, Charla. I am so very proud of you. Congratulations on being honored as a Rising Star. I want you to know that you inspire me. You have always been destined for greatness, and this is just the beginning. I will always be your biggest cheerleader.
This is one of many rewards, and hopefully more to come. I'm so proud of you. I really am. Everybody is proud of you, the fam, and it's not gonna stop. Thankful to have you around every day. Thankful that God picked you as my mother. So once again, congratulations. I love you.
Who are we? We are the Kansas African American Museum, where we serve as the cultural hub for innovative collaboration, familial and historic storytelling, as well as thought-provoking exhibitions and interactive learning centered around the African American experience.
On behalf of our Board of Directors, I invite you to become a member and supporter of the Kansas African American Museum. We are art, we are education, we are history, we are culture.
Congratulations, Dr. Smith. Well deserved. Our next honoree was a legend that was born in a modest home right here in Wichita, located in the very center of the Black Belt District. Tonight, our very own 2018 Trailblazer, Carla Burns, is here to share more.
Hattie McDaniel went from home on Wichita Street to Beverly Hills. My first memory of Hattie was getting the opportunity to see Gone with the Wind. Oh my goodness. The way she moved, the way she spoke, the way she attacked. it was an incredible adventure to watch her as an actress. I didn't know why I didn't know more about her, as I had learned so much about Clark Gable, and I learned about all the actors like Errol Flynn. And now I'm in high school, and a friend of mine gives me a book about Hattie McDaniel, which it was a Christmas present. It was just after, it was actually in college. And I said, "What is this?" He said, "Don't open it." The minute I opened it up, I turned it, and I had the back of the book, and it was sort of upside down. And I said to him, "Where in the world did you get this picture of me?" And he said, "Turn it right, Carla." And I said, "That's not me." And he said, "It's Hattie McDaniel, and she used to live right there." Whoa. And then there she was. She was from where I'm from. She lived 10 blocks from where I live. And I became just infatuated with the idea of being bigger than you really were.
The community here in Wichita needs to know more about Hattie McDaniel. I think the difference is she was a trailblazer. I am one of several electeds and several black elected folks here. So it's important what I say and do, but the pressure that was on her was probably immense. And with me, although I feel pressure, I'm sure it's nothing like what she faced. And so you want to be a good example of a human, be the best role model you can be when you're a public person. So to me, that shows that Wichita is the birthplace of some amazing individuals, and folks who are from here can be inspired that a fellow Wichitan went on to accomplish what they have, and that they can do the same.
She was a red hot mama. That's where that name comes from. I had a hat. That's where those hats come from, because she started out early wearing hats, and she kept wearing hats. She was a Sigma Gamma Rho. In fact, the hats that I have here, Hattie McDaniel's sorority donated money for me to find somebody to make all these hats, from birds to feathers, but everything is full of feathers. And so that's why you see these different hats along the way. Fish gotta swim and birds gotta fly. I gotta love one man till I die. Can't help loving that man of mine. Yeah.
It is with the knowledge that this entire nation will stand and salute the presentation of this plaque that I present the Academy Award for the best performance of an actress in supporting roles during 1939 to Hattie McDaniel.
Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science, fellow members of the motion picture industry, and honored guests. This is one of the happiest moments of my life, and I want to thank each one of you who had a part in selecting me for one of the awards. For your kindness, it has made me feel very, very humble, and I shall always hold it as a beacon for anything that I may be able to do in the future. I sincerely hope I shall always be a credit to my race and to the motion picture industry. My heart is too full to tell you just how I feel. And may I say thank you, and God bless you.
I would tell you, amongst the actresses that I know and the people that I know in show business, they all know about her. They know what she's done. They've watched what she's done. And I would say, as an actor, I'm grateful to have it be that I, as a black actress, can be the one that plays the maid, because I know I'm playing. She had a difficult way with black people as well as white people, and some of those black people were in the same predicament that she was in, looking for a job, trying to make a buck doing what it is we love to do. And yet the NAACP said, straighten your hair. You don't have the right to speak like you speak. And it was who we were. We didn't choose the path. It was the path. So it was a lot of pain and a lot of perseverance. So when she won that award, they chose me, she said. They didn't have to choose me.
She was real. She loved people. She loved performing, and she was herself. She didn't compromise herself. She's like, look, I'm Hattie McDaniel. This is who I am. I'm going to be myself. And I think that worked for her.
Private Jones is camping on the doorstep of Miss Katie Brown. She must be the very, very coldest creature in this town.
She had a legacy not just in front of the camera, but behind the camera. She fought housing discrimination and went to the courts and won. She entertained the truth during World War II. And when you're a pioneer, it's going to be hard, and you're going to have to fight.
No tears, Fidelia. There's nothing to cry about.
I can't help it. He sent me something too. Mr. Hilton never forgot me.
What it is that I managed to find somebody in my life that possessed the teachings, the wisdom, the perseverance, the know-how to do what it is that I thought I wanted to do. And so far in my life, she wasn't wrong. And this is the one thing that I would tell you, that anybody in the world, if you read about her, if you look, you need that in your life, your passion, your purpose, and then you go out, you persevere it, and then you hit a home run with your determination. Because you never give up. You never give up. And she never gave up.
Good evening. I'm C. Edward Watson, a longtime supporter and board member of the Kansas African American Museum. Hattie McDaniel forged pathways in the performing arts when it was unheard of for African Americans to have significant roles in the theater or even cinema, and to be recognized in the broader society. Her legacy is her heroic performance in Gone with the Wind, which opened the doors for other artists that we enjoy today. It is with great pride that I present the 2020 Trailblazers Hall of Fame Award to Miss Hattie McDaniel. I graciously accept on her behalf. God bless.
We would like to thank Spirit Aerosystems as one of our heritage sponsors for the evening.
African American Museum. We are culture.
Challenge. In 1975, Calvary Baptist Church moved to its current location across town, and the fate of the original building was uncertain. But it was the courage of Doris Kerr Larkins and the members of the congregation that took on the challenge to preserve the rich history and legacy of the original building by placing it on the National Register of Historic Places. This led to the founding of the first National Black Historical Society of Wichita in 1974.
The African American culture is centered around community, friends, and most importantly, family. In fact, it's often a family affair when we gather to celebrate the accomplishments of those who are blazing trails for others to follow. Let's hear more from our former Kansas African American board member, Carol Cole.
Thank you, Felicia. I am Carol Cole, past president of the board of directors for the Kansas African American Museum. I am so honored to share this momentous occasion with my sister, who has served the community of Wichita, covered the state of Kansas, and now is branching out across the nation as a successful radio personality. But before I present her with the 2020 Trailblazers Hall of Fame Award, let's hear more about the wonderful work that Carla has done.
Hello, I'm Carla Eccles, host of Soulsations, heard on KMUW Sunday nights at 6. We are celebrating 10 years of existence, and we want you to join us right here at the Brickyard in Old Town.
I mean, who doesn't love Carla Eccles? I mean, she's just a beautiful soul, beautiful person, and she's just so real. She's grounded, and on top of being just a beautiful soul, she wants to uplift everybody's spirit, regardless of what you believe in. If she comes in contact with you, she just wants you to be better than the way she found you.
She's not just welcoming, she makes you feel like family real quickly. Her smile and her laugh are the most genuine I've ever known. I have said to people for years and trying to get them to make good radio, people can hear you smile on the radio. There's a difference when you talk like this versus talking like this. And so, but her smile, you can hear it. You can hear her smile on the radio.
I've always loved radio, even as a little girl. And so the intimacy of it, I had the radio next to me going to bed at night. You know, of course, I was listening to music and things like that. But I think as I continued in radio, working as host of various morning shows and like Morning Edition, All Things Considered, I'm talking about NPR now, I always thought storytelling's effective. And I like to hear people's stories, and I love sharing them. An interview I did with someone right here in Wichita, Carol Parks Hahn. She is the first participant in the Dockham Drugstore sit-in, and I had to really go after it. I mean, she didn't want to do it. And I pretty much almost had to beg her. And I said, this is just too important. I said, the history that you have, we need to know about that. And she's like, well, so long ago, 1958. I said, but what you did mattered to my life and all of us. So you have to tell the story. So she finally agreed. And she talked about Rosa Parks coming to her home and all kinds of things. Her mother was very involved in the NAACP and how they were talking about what can we do here in our community to make an impact. And she said she remembers hearing the word sit-in, and she said, that's something we could do. And then, of course, Ron Walters was her cousin. So, it went on from there. And but I thought, here is this African-American woman that I'm sitting across from who's done something so phenomenal, and I stand on her shoulders, and I don't take that lightly. And it's so funny because my kids know, anybody and almost everybody knows the story because I've told it. And I want more people to be aware of so many giants in our community. And so that was one of the stories that I got to tell and got an award for it. It's a 30-minute documentary about the Dockham sit-in.
I think that Carla is such a great storyteller because of, again, that tone that is so impossible to describe. She is welcoming and make sure you hear the story. You actually hear it. You don't just hear her. You don't just hear her voice coming at you. You don't just hear sound bites. You hear something that flows together and gives meaning to whatever the subject is. She is a great storyteller that way.
The woman just is incredibly likable, but also you respect her for her intelligence as well. And like you say, that's the thing. Her voice is so recognizable. I could have my eyes closed completely, and she'd come in the room. Why, all I'd have to hear is one or two words, and I'd know who it was. But like I say, I do think that she really understands people, and that is so important when you're doing news,
The way Carla got to where she is by tenacity. When there was an opportunity, she took it. All the different times I've brought her in to do gospel for our stations, she was still working here. She was still being first lady of a church. She had multiple jobs, but if it's something that she truly believed in and wanted to do, she would make time to make it happen. And of course, raising her kids as well. I remember back in the day, she would bring those kids into the station. She'd be on the air and they'd be over there playing quietly, but they'd be out there playing. But that's just Carla. She will do what it takes to get the job done and get it done well. It's not like she gloss over it. If Carla's going to do something, it's going to be A1. So that's the beautiful thing about Carla, and that's how she's gotten to where she is today.
This award is so prestigious because I've had the opportunity to MC at the Trailblazer Gala from time to time, and it's just been the people that have received this award I absolutely love and honor. But I just thought, man, me? I feel really privileged, and I also feel like it's a responsibility because anytime you get an award like this, it just makes me want to tell even more stories and even share more, because what the museum people need to go, they need to know their history. And I mean all people, because it's so important to know, where you came from, accomplishments that have been made, some of the pitfalls that have taken place, but that people have persevered.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, join me in celebrating my sister, Ms. Carla Eccles, as she is inducted into the 2020 Trailblazers Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much for this very prestigious award. I feel very honored to receive it. To the Executive Director, Denise Sherman, at the museum, the board and staff, thank you so much. I'd like to thank my family, Reuben, Lauren, and Sam, of course, my mother, my older sister, Carol, and Greg, and of course, to my baby sister, Karen, and Gary, and to Anair, and all of the wonderful Eccles family. Thank you so much for supporting me down through the years. To you, Lance Hayes, a great teacher, thank you so much for supporting me and being part of this wonderful event. And I want to thank all the managers who said, yes, Carla, you can be on the radio, including you, Don Sherman, and of course, Deborah Frazier here at KMUW, who says yes each and every day to me. I thank you for that, for your support. And I also want to thank you. I'm talking about the donors who make the museum work every day so that I can go and enjoy the archives and all the new paintings and everybody else. If it wasn't for the donors, the museum would not be there. So I want you to know every gift that you give matters. Thank you so much. Again, I feel so honored to receive this award. I will cherish it every day. Thank you.
We would like to thank Delta Dental of Kansas as one of our heritage sponsors for the evening.
Hi, I'm Karen Casey, mother of Carla Eccles. Here to congratulate you, Carla, on receiving the Trailblazers Hall of Fame Award. I couldn't be more proud of you, Carla, and receiving this very prestigious award.
Hey Mom, I'm so proud of you for being honored as one of the broadcast journalism trailblazers tonight. I'm beyond grateful for everything that you've done for me, and again, I'm proud of you, and I love you so, so much.
Hey Mom, you're officially a living, walking legend. I'm so proud of you for being inducted in the Hall of Fame, and I can't wait to celebrate.
Triumph. In 1995, the First National Black Historical Society of Wichita changed to the Kansas African American Museum and incorporated significant pieces of art and artifacts to complement our story, history, and heritage. This transition showcased a broader representation of our rich and vibrant culture, from a sole focus on the archival documents and photos to one of highly sought-after collections and interactive continuous learning centered on highlighting the African American experience.
Well, from a small town in southeast Kansas to the capital city of the United States, this honoree has forged a path with a national presence. To share more is John Roth.
Hello. I'm John Roth and a proud member of the Board of Directors at the Kansas African American Museum. Our next honoree is an award-winning journalist and has been an inspiration for many others to follow in his groundbreaking footsteps. Blazing Sam Ford is our next 2020 Trailblazer Hall of Fame honoree.
I'm Gina Ford, coming to you from the Emergency Operations Center here in Prince George's County, Maryland. I just wanted to take an opportunity to say congratulations to my father, Sam Ford, on being inducted into the Kansas African American Museum Trailblazers Hall of Fame.
We came to see if we too could get into the school. Doors were locked, but we soon spotted an open window with a trash can for a stepladder. D.C. Public Schools officials declined to comment on camera, but they told us that they were so focused on schools that were opened that they had not been paying a lot of attention to the schools that are closed. As for the usable books and equipment inside, they had no explanation for that. Back to you.
If you ask people when they decided they wanted to be what they want to be, I sort of knew all along what I wanted to be. I wanted to be on television. I didn't know exactly in what capacity, but I just wanted to be on television. And when I was a kid, growing up in Independence, Kansas, one of the first things I bought was a tape recorder so that I could talk into the tape recorder and practice being a television man. So, you know, it's one of those things, I guess, basically, if you really love something, you probably start as a young person, as a kid, playing that, and then, you know, as an adult, you eventually become what you've been playing. The good thing about being a journalist is you leave your house in the morning, you go to work, and you really don't know how it's going to turn out that day. You know, it might start down this way, it might go that way. So basically, anything and everything I have covered. In the journalism profession, particularly when I started out in Minnesota, I was so happy to be in these television stations where this stuff was going on. I felt that I should be paying these people to let me work there, and I don't think that way anymore. But that was how enthusiastic I was. You've got to be enthusiastic about something if you're going to be good at it.
On a personal note, I grew up in Independence, another southeast Kansas town not far from Parks's Fort Scott.
When the black people of Kansas gave me recognition, I mean, this meant just a whole lot to me. You know, you can get a number of awards, but, you know, I didn't know y'all knew anything about me. So it was really just something that was really important to me. I love the state of Kansas. It is part of my heritage. My wife is from Kansas. She is from Wichita. And I have a house right now in Independence I've owned for, I guess, at least 20 years. And I go down there and I sit on the porch and I listen to the crickets. I listen to the train whistle. It's part of my life.
Reporting live from the Lincoln Memorial, Sam Ford, ABC 7 News.
My father will certainly tell you that he's covered everything from the White House to the crack house, and that is no exaggeration. I grew up watching him fly off to Nairobi, Kenya, for example, to cover the bombing of the U.S. Embassy there. I grew up watching him fly to West Africa to cover our family roots, our genealogy, where we've come from, and that was before they had 23andMe and Ancestry.com. He's just told so many stories. Those are stories both of celebrities and just local, everyday people. So congratulations to him, and I'll tell you, he's won a Murrow Award, he's won a number of Emmys, but as somebody who was a Kansas boy through and through, I know that this honor is right up there among them. So congratulations for just a wonderful portfolio of work and much, much more to come.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the 2020 Trailblazers Hall of Fame Award winner, Sam Ford.
Well, I would like to say that I am happy and proud to accept the 2020 Trailblazers Hall of Fame Award. Actually, I'm standing in Washington, D.C. Behind me are 220,000 white flags. Those flags are for the 220,000 plus people who have died of COVID, which has had such an impact on our world these days. And of course, many Kansans are among those who have died, some of them whom I actually knew personally. So it is a rough time. We cannot have an in-person ceremony. But again, I would like to thank you for remembering me, for what contributions perhaps I've made to the state of Kansas, and certainly before I die, I'd like to make many more, and I'm honored to accept your award.
We would like to thank Ameritrust Credit Union as one of our heritage sponsors for the evening.
As author and journalist Malcolm Gladwell once said, you cannot separate who you are from where you come from. And Sam is a Kansan through and through. For many years, we've maintained a house in Kansas as well as here in Washington, D.C. And through the years, Kansas has popped up in some storylines. I'm Gloria Murray Ford, Sam's wife. I think he's deserving of this honor. I want to say congratulations.
Who are we? We are the Kansas African American Museum, where we collaborate and connect the rich history of Kansas and the African American experience. We encourage you to get your passport and travel the Kansas African American History Trail. From Nicodemus to John Brown to Gordon Parks to Brown versus Board of Education, you can see all of this and more on the Kansas African American History Trail. We are culture.
Our next honoree has been blazing multiple trails for many years. In 2020, she is challenging others to level up. Here's Kara Hunt to share more.
Greetings, I am Kara Hunt, and I currently serve as a board member for the Kansas African American Museum. What can I say? This next recipient has been burning her way through life with many firsts. As a colleague at Delta Dental of Kansas, I have firsthand experience with her wonderful leadership style, and I am proud to know her as a friend. Let's learn more about this amazing trailblazer.
Janetta is truly a trailblazer, if there ever was one. It is Janetta, whether it's in her choice of an academic discipline, whether it's in how she has risen within Delta Dental, whether it's how she's been the superb volunteer at Wichita State, and then of course her level of high success with the Wichita Chamber of Commerce as their chairman this year. She's the definition of a trailblazer.
Somehow she's come to grips with owning her voice. And that's what I learned so much about her, is being comfortable in her skin. In this world where we're always trying to be like somebody else, Janetta's learned how to be like Janetta.
Growing up in Wichita, again, seeming like an only child, I was a first-generation college student. As I was going to dental hygiene school, I had a clinical instructor who I think her intentions were well, but she actually approached me and said, you might want to think about another career other than dental hygiene because it's very expensive and there are people who are not going to want your hands in their mouth. Obviously, not only did I graduate, little did I know that I was the first African American to graduate from the Wichita State Dental Hygiene School. To later find out that I was the first and only Black dental hygienist in the state of Kansas. But then I went back to Wichita State later on in a few years and delivered the commencement speech. So that just made me realize that if you really have a goal to continue, I like a challenge, and that was a challenge to me.
Janetta is an extremely thoughtful board member, but I believe the hallmark of what Janetta brings to every board on which she serves, whether it's at Wichita State or in the community, is the voice of the mandate of focusing on diversity and inclusion. And from that standpoint, I consider her a trailblazer there as well.
Janetta is someone that every day stands against hatred and racism. She's someone who strongly believes that every individual should be treated respectfully and fairly, and that every individual should be treated with dignity and respect, regardless of their race, their culture, their background, their ethnicity, or their identity. I've spoken with Janetta, and she believes that if we want our children and our grandchildren to grow up in a community and a nation that lives up to its highest ideals, we can and we must do better. And she lives that every day through her words and her actions and her advocacy and her leadership.
I think she has blazed the trail, if you will, for other African Americans, particularly women of color, who I think will see what Janetta got accomplished as inspiration to get more engaged themselves. And I certainly think it helps an organization, a 103-year-old organization like our chamber, to understand that there are different voices and there are different perspectives.
Being the chair of the board for the chamber has been a very challenging year. So when I think about the pillars that we have for TCAM, I believe my most important pillar of those for TCAM is challenge. It's always a challenge when you are a person fighting for a cause. Many people know that Rosa Parks is one of my sheroes, and Rosa Parks took a challenge, and because of that, she was triumphant And because of that, I am able to sit in the chair that I'm sitting in now. Receiving this award really means as much to me as it did when I became the first Black chair for the Wichita Regional Chamber. That was a very special moment, but this one is different. This one means so much to me because the Kansas African American Museum means so much to Wichita. It is where our children need to go for history. It's where they need to learn. And to be a part of that, where people can actually look at others and say, my goodness, I can be that person, which is what I've been able to do. I'm looking, saying, I'm gonna be with these remarkable people. It is unspeakable. It means a lot to me. And when I first was told about it, I literally sit back and had to take it in for a moment and was in tears. This one brings it all the way back home and makes everything that I've ever done in our community in Wichita well worth it, because I know now it also helps us. And I'm just proud to be a part of this, and I couldn't be more thankful.
It is an honor and a privilege to present the 2020 Trailblazer Hall of Fame Award to Janetta Everett.
I am extremely grateful and honored to be receiving this award and to be being inducted into the Kansas African American Museum Trailblazers Hall of Fame. I would like to thank the selection committee and all who had any part in allowing me and providing me with this honor. Thank you so much.
We would like to thank Cargill as one of our heritage sponsors for the evening.
Who are we? We are the Kansas African American Museum, where we provide a culminating experience of people, pride, and place. We celebrate the richness of the African American experience and its influence on American culture and history that continues to define our country today. We are more than the housing of collections. We provide a space to explore, reflect, and remind us of our interconnectedness. We invite you to become a member and supporter of the Kansas African American Museum. We are culture.
I can't believe it. It's already been one entire year and a new set of Trailblazers are being inducted tonight. What an honor to be celebrated, to be named a Trailblazer, one who has helped shape our community, our state, and our history here in Kansas. You know, I know a little something about that because just a year ago myself, I was named a Trailblazer. And I can tell you, I know how all of the inductees feel tonight. It is one of the greatest honors you will ever feel, know, and appreciate in your life. Congratulations to all of our Trailblazers for the year 2020. You have done everything and more to earn this honor tonight. We're so proud of you. Congratulations.
We would like to thank Fidelity Bank as one of our heritage sponsors for the evening.
And still, we rise. Over the years, the Kansas African American Museum has faced many challenges and uncertainties, but has always found a way to work collaboratively to press through and find solutions. Today, the Kansas African American Museum embarks on a new vision that will continue the legacy of our ancestors to ensure our commitment to our culture. We serve as the cultural hub for innovative collaboration, familial, and historic storytelling. The Kansas African American Museum, we are culture.
Thank you so much for joining us for the 20th Trailblazers Awards celebration. I'm Felicia Rolfe, and we hope that you can join us again next year.
We would like to thank all of our exhibition and community sponsors for the evening.
What you
never find wherever you are. 'Cause time it goes and often shows you who they really are, and they'll never grow. Your pain never shows, no.